Okay, everybody, we are live at lunch. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. I have not had lunch yet. As you're coming in, tell me what you had for lunch. I'm curious. I'm looking for some good ideas for lunch. Okay, so we're going to be talking immigration. We're going to be answering questions. We're going to be talking about what's already changing under Trump, what we expect will likely change once he takes office in January, and what you can be doing now to prepare for what's to come. So as frustrated and angry and disappointed and all of the emotions that I've been feeling for the last week, as much as I'm feeling those, I am sure that the families who are going to be most impacted by him taking office are feeling it even more, right? So I have to keep estamos teniendo aquí lluvias, no sé qué está pasando con la conexión, pero espero que se mejore pronto. Estoy aquí para contestar preguntas sobre qué está cambiando, aunque todavía Trump no ha tomado su posición. Estamos viendo ya cosas que están cambiando, entonces vamos a hablar de esto y vamos a estar contestando preguntas. Gracias a todos que están entrando. ¿Cuáles son mis derechos como inmigrante? Muy buena pregunta, Vivis. Me encanta su pregunta. Gracias por su pregunta. Los derechos que tienen cualquier persona en los Estados Unidos se encuentra en la Constitución. Y muchas personas no entienden que la Constitución aplica a todos, no solamente los que nacieron aquí o los que son ciudadanos, sino a cualquier persona. Entonces, todo inmigrante tiene derecho a ciertas cosas y depende de su situación, pero la mayoría de inmigrantes van a tener un derecho, insistir en un derecho a hablar con un abogado. Si se encuentra con inmigración, esto es lo más urgente, es insistir en su derecho a hablar con su abogado y también insistir en una audiencia. Ahora, algunas personas no van a calificar para ver un juez. Por ejemplo, personas que ya fueron deportados antes, lo que a veces no se entiende es que el orden de deportación es para siempre. Dice inmigración que después de 5 años, después de 10 años, puede solicitar para regresar, pero esto no quiere decir que se borra el orden de deportación o se vence el orden de deportación. Nunca se vence, y si regresa sin resolver el problema del orden de deportación, sin pedir un perdón, va a estar regresando con un orden abierto, y cuando quiera que le encuentre inmigración, ya su información está en el sistema y pueden deportar sin audiencia. Entonces ese derecho no va a aplicar a personas que no tienen estatus legal. But a great question in Spanish: what are the rights of immigrants? And I'm explaining that all of the constitutional rights apply also to immigrants, but there may be some situations where the rights might be more limited than others. For example, every immigrant is going to have the right to have an attorney. Every immigrant is going to have the right to request a hearing, but some people may not qualify to see a judge, because, especially if they had a prior removal order, a deportation order. People don't understand that those orders don't just disappear or expire after a certain period of time. Unless you have left the country and processed your paperwork with a waiver, if you come back without status and you're found anywhere in the country by an ICE agent, that you are going to be in the system, you are going to be removed without having the right to see a judge. So there are There are many rights that immigrants have, and it's important to know those rights. Now more than ever, it is going to be very important to know your rights. Gracias por esa pregunta. Va a ser muy importante que los inmigrantes entiendan sus derechos. I did purchase something. I keep forgetting to bring it from my house, but it's to be able to connect directly to the internet. So hopefully that'll give us a better connection. But thank you, Vivis, for that question about rights of immigrants. We're going to be talking a lot more on that and creating some videos to help people understand what their rights are. Sonia, my husband lives in the USA. Can he ask for asylum? Asylum is generally reserved for people who have been here less than 1 year. There are some exceptions to that, but you'll want to make sure you talk with an immigration attorney about the consequences of filing for asylum before you do so. Idalia, can I do what you're doing? I would love if more young people, older people, there's no age limit. I was like in my early 30s when I went back to school to become an attorney. And I started as a legal assistant. So I recommend anybody who's thinking about going to law school that you first work in an office, whatever kind of law you're interested in, work there as an assistant. You'll get great experience and like actual, experience, not just like what it looks like on TV, but you'll know what the day-to-day would be like if you chose that profession. So before you go to law school, make sure that you get some experience, but there definitely is going to be a need, especially if you're bilingual. Si hablan español, si son bilingües, les animo que regresen a estudiar para ser abogados, porque va a haber una necesidad muy extrema, muy grande aquí para abogados que son bilingües. Idalia, I thought you were hiring. We are. Yes, we are hiring. Idalia, please reach out to us. I put a video. I did not expect the video to go almost viral. Like I've never had this many people like my video before. I just was like putting out a back call basically because we are hiring and it's been a bit of a struggle to find bilingual people. And so we've had such an overwhelming response to that just in the last 2 days. I think we have a team right now of 16. Okay. So I have one person of those 16 who helps me. Part of her job is to help me sort through resumes and start the vetting process. And so I forgot to tell her I put that video up because number one, I wasn't expecting that we'd have that big of a response to it. But now she's emailed, she's like, I've got hundreds of resumes. What are we doing? What is going on? I said, I guess we're hiring. So Idalia, hopefully you send us your resume and I promise we will be sorting through those and finding the best of the best to serve our clients. Karen, is DACA going to be taken away? I do believe that DACA will be one of the first things that they address. He tried to kill it in this first term, and he was successful at killing it for new applications. So since he did that, now only people who already have it can renew it. They can't, new people can't apply for it. So I definitely think DACA is going to be affected. How do you apply for a position? I'm not a professional, but I am bilingual. I'm going to make a video after this actually. So with some further instructions, I honestly did not expect to have the response to that video that we got. And so I'm going to give some further instructions. So please be watching for that. Guzman, your oath is on the 11th. How soon can I apply for the passport? Congratulations. Thank you for taking that important step. Next year, you'll be able to vote and, on and on. So your vote is your voice. Thank you for becoming a citizen and expressing your voice through your vote. You can get your passport like the same day. You have to apply for it and it'll come in the mail and whatnot. But as soon as you have that certificate of citizenship, certificate of naturalization, you will be able to get your passport. I recommend everyone, if you're a US citizen, get your passport. I remember feeling really vulnerable and scared during the pandemic, during the Trump administration. You would think that an immigration attorney would have her passport, but I had let it expire like a long time ago. I was like, oh, I'm too busy to travel and I don't have money to travel, so I don't need a passport. And then when I needed it, there were significant delays and I felt very, very anxious not having my passport. So I definitely recommend, if you are eligible for your passport, get it now. Los que califican para su pasaporte, animo a hacerlo ahorita. Recuerdo cuando yo no tenía mi pasaporte, sentí mucha ansiedad cuando tuvimos la pandemia y cuando entró Trump. Okay. Lone Wolf, how hard will it be for me to renew your green card after 6 years that it's expired? I'm always curious how that happens. Like, I have a lot of people who call us, they're like, I didn't realize this expired already. There's no problem. You can late renew your green card. It could affect your ability to work. Definitely don't travel until you have a new green card. And those applications are taking a long time. I recommend filing online. We've had a much faster turnaround online applications. We're happy to help you with that if you need help doing that. Karen, hey, can you explain the military PIP? I'd be happy to, but I'm concerned that this parole in place program will also be affected once Trump takes office. He tried to kill it under the first Trump administration, but there was a lot of pushback, obviously, from military families. This is a program that is for spouses and parents mostly. I think also children, but I haven't really seen it that much. So spouses are parents of military personnel, either active duty or the National Guard or the reserves, or already have left service, had an honorable discharge. Obviously, if they left under dishonorable circumstances, they're not going to be eligible to apply. But it's a great way, someone who entered the US without authorization, without a visa, and has been here a number of years, it's a great way for them to be eligible for their green card really pretty quickly, especially parents of US citizens. Many of them wait 21 years after their child is born here with the hopes to be able to get a green card through that child. And they don't realize that the way that they entered, they're not going to be eligible to apply for their child because they need a waiver and they don't have the child doesn't qualify them for that waiver. So a military personnel can get you, you can get your green card through a spouse or a child really quickly. Idalia, what states are protecting these immigrants from being deported? That's going to be really interesting to see come in the next year, because Trump is already talking about pulling funding and doing things to harm states that choose to protect immigrants. You know, this notion of a sanctuary city, sanctuary state. It doesn't mean that ICE can't go in there, obviously, because ICE can go wherever they want. But what it means is that the police are not going to be actively turning people over to ICE, you know, if they have contact with someone who is undocumented. That doesn't mean that someone who's arrested or, you know, even picked up for some kind of minor infraction, ICE is actively reviewing the police station information, the court records. So they're actively looking for people who have had some kind of negative contact with law enforcement. So even if you're in a sanctuary city or a state, that doesn't mean that ICE isn't active there. Teddy, should you apply for TPS although I have a pending asylum application? Yes. Asylum is going to take a long time depending where you applied. If you applied with USCIS, they're taking like decades. The court is backed up like 5 years or more. So definitely recommend you apply for TPS now, especially because I think TPS will eventually be phased out. It'll be a process to phase that out, but I think that will happen to TPS. Chula, I love your name, Chula. I applied for humanitarian parole for a relative in June of 2023. Are they stopping the process? Yes, they put a pause on that. I can't remember, sometime over the summer, due to some concerns with security checks or something. I don't know, something random like that. So I don't know that it will come back to life, that they'll unpause it before Trump takes office. And I think that Trump will probably wind down that program as well. That was a program, it's so ironic because that was a program that was intended to address the issues at the border, to be able to better do security checks on people before they came into the country. So it was very successful and a lot of people were using it. And so it's concerning that they're going to potentially end that program. Yes, you can contact us. Our number is 541-653-8899. We have a free discovery call process. We are recommending that people know their rights, know their options, and make a plan. So those three things are going to be the first important steps. I feel like right now there's just a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear, right? And we don't think clearly when we're afraid. We don't make good decisions when we feel like, we have to make a decision right now. So we have a little bit of time. It's very important that you get good information and start taking steps and action immediately. I never know who these people are that want to co-host. John, I don't know who you are, so I'm going to decline it. But if you can put in here what you want to talk about, then I'll bring you on. Okay, Lorena, you've been a permanent resident for over 30 years and you're afraid of the test. You freeze up on tests. I just actually was doing a video for our marketing about this and reminding people that the vote is your voice and you can't vote unless you're a citizen. And if you've been a resident for 30 years, you're writing to me in English, so English isn't an issue for you. Sometimes that's an issue for people, but you're afraid of tests. So let me tell you this. There's 100 questions. If you're able to memorize either in the weeks leading up to the interview, or some people just want to memorize overnight, cram for it, all they ask, they pull 10 of those questions randomly from the 100. So you can memorize all the 100 and be ready for them. They're not going to ask you all 100. They're going to pull 10 of those questions. And if you answer the first 6 ones right, you're done. All you have to get is a D. So if you got a C average in school, you're good. You will pass. And if you don't pass the first time, you can go back and you can do it again. You get 2 chances. So Lorena, please. Potentially help millions of immigrants and their families in the future. Okay. Michelle, you're in Alabama. You need an immigration lawyer. We would be happy to help. Immigration is federal law. We are located in Springfield, Oregon, but we serve immigrants across the nation and around the world. We have a very streamlined remote process that we do with people. And so please give us a call, 541-653-8899. Are we still accepting applications? Yes, I was just saying earlier, I did not expect that video. I would have prepared a little bit more. I would have prepared my team for the amount of calls and emails that they're getting. We've really struggled in the past to find people who want to work with immigrants, to find people who are bilingual and professional. So this is super exciting to have this many people who are excited about working with immigrants. We're going to be working our way through the applications and definitely getting back to people as quickly as we can. But please have some patience with us. We are going to have our hands full. We're currently a team of 16. I anticipate that we'll double in the next year and then keep doubling from there. So we will definitely be holding on to anyone that we choose not to go forward with at this time. We'll hold on to that. Oh, Rosie, he said in an all-in podcast, he will give green cards to graduates from universities and colleges. I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth that's good. I believe the bad stuff. Prima facie, can it stop a deportation if the person is detained by ICE? It should. you should have that determination. It gives you the right, I should say this, an approved I-360 will give you the right to deferred action. So they can't deport you if you have deferred action. I'd have to check that. I don't know. I haven't checked that lately. So thank you for that question. I'll look into that, get back to you. How long will it take to bring someone here? It depends on what process. It depends on what your relationship is to that person. It depends on if you're a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident. It depends on what their age is, whether they've been here, tons of factors. So that's why we offer a discovery call. It usually takes at least 20 minutes to get all the information that we need in order to review it, to see if there's any options. And then we'll let you know like how long we expect it would take to bring that person to the US or to help that person get status. The Cove, you have a passport, you're an immigrant, you love America. Thank you. Immigrants make America great. Thank you for being here. Charlie, I'm so scared for my husband. We are in the immigration process, but I'm terrified for all that's coming. Yes, you are not alone. ¿Habla español? Claro que sí, hablo español. Lo siento mucho, la mayoría de las preguntas están aquí en inglés, pero si me haces una pregunta en español, voy a contestar. Me encanta hablar en español. Your RFE has been pending 57 days. How many more days should you wait? The RFE is a request for evidence. So it's usually like, we need your medical exam, or we need this document, or, you know, you answered this question in a certain way, we need more information. It usually takes them a couple of months to finish the processing, depending on what they asked you for. So I wouldn't freak out yet. Should you renew your DACA early because of the new administration? Definitely renew now. Yours is expiring next August. For sure, renew now. They say you're supposed to wait 6 months, but I would not wait 6 months. I would renew now. Remember when Trump started giving just 1 year extensions? That was a nightmare. But I'd take 1 year over just canceling the program, right? What could happen to immigrants that have been here for 30 plus years with no legal problems? Anything can happen. And so I would be recommending that person to be looking for options. I'm sure they probably have talked to somebody in the past, but depending on how long ago that was, there might be new options now. Definitely recommend that you talk with an immigration attorney. Do you think I need to hire a lawyer when I start renewing my green card in February? Depends on how you're renewing it. If you are a conditional resident and you've had a card for 2 years, I would definitely recommend that you hire an attorney to help you with that. If you've had any contact with law enforcement at all since you last renewed your green card, definitely hire an attorney to help you renew. But if you feel like your case is pretty straightforward, you can go online, and if you're able to figure that out, you can do it yourself. If you have any issues with that, give us a call, 541-653-8899. Batman, I like your name, 187 says there won't be any sanctuary cities come January. We did see under the first administration that, you know, certain places tried to, push back against the policies and the priorities that the Trump administration put on immigration. And Trump threatened to take funding or do whatever. I'm concerned. What's going to happen. But I think sanctuary cities, people misunderstand what that concept means. Any updates on T visas? Not yet. What we expect to see under the new administration is a return to how they were doing it before, which was a lot of requests for evidence, which slows the process down, even requests for things that we had already explained or already provided, and probably more denials. because they will be looking at things a little bit closer, putting a higher standard on approvals. We'll be having to do more appeals. This is the way the game works, right? I call it a game because it's like, I don't know. They do something, it's like a chess game, right? They make a move, they decide to start denying applications that would have been approved before. And so then we have to appeal, and we have to remind them of the legal standard, and a court has to, agree with us. So all of this stuff takes time. So that's why I say everything's going to slow down. Can your husband still file military PIP even if you're out of status and overstayed? So PIP, parole in places for individuals who entered without authorization, were not inspected and admitted or paroled. So it sounds like you entered with some kind of status, maybe a tourist visa or a student visa. Anyone who entered with a visa does not need military parole in place or any other kind of parole in place. You should be able to adjust your status because your entry is what's most important. Check with an immigration attorney. Please do not be filing on your own anymore, guys. And I don't say that because I want more clients. Like we're trying to hire because we have more clients than we can handle right now. But definitely be talking with an immigration attorney and using their office to file, because you don't want to mark the wrong box, put the wrong thing, and then be in a situation where you're facing deportation when you could have easily gotten an approval. Is Biden expected to try and redo the parole in place this coming Tuesday? Are people hearing things like that? I haven't heard anything like that. I would assume that he would not appeal the decision. Maybe he'll choose to do it. I just don't think that if he appeals it, that there would be a decision before January 20th. So I'm not sure I understand like what the benefit of keeping it ongoing would be. But if somebody's heard otherwise, I'd be happy to hear that. I just haven't heard that. Judy asks, are you CJA? What is CJA? Pending VAWA approval, can that prevent deportation? Talk with your immigration attorney, depending on where you're at in the process. Okay, we always get a few trolls in here. Frannis, let's hope they send back all that crossed the border illegally. Frannis, my prayer for you is that you never have someone in your life who has had to make the decision whether to stay in their country and probably be killed and watch their family be murdered, or have to walk and run to the border and find your way in a foreign country, only to be sent back to that country that you just escaped. So I hope that never happens to you. Brown Boy, USCIS scheduled the biometrics after the I-601A waiver. How long after that for the decision? Looks like they're processing 2021 right now. I meant to check our last approval. I think it was like mid-year, fall-ish, something like that. So they're taking about 3 years right now. They are speeding up. They were taking like 4 or 5 years. I would anticipate that is only going to get longer, even though there's been lawsuits against the government for taking such a long time on these applications. The parole in place, family unity, was supposed to solve that problem by allowing people to skip the waiver. But now that program has been canceled, I would expect wait times to get even longer for the I-601A waiver. But if you just took your fingerprints, probably like 3 more years, hopefully for you. Can someone get deported if they live in the same house where someone has deportation status? So ICE, they don't care. They come to a house, if they have an arrest warrant or they act like they have an arrest warrant and anybody else acts or looks suspicious or looks brown or sounds like English is not their first language, they're going to question. And as soon as you open your mouth and you start giving information, now they're going to have confirmation that you are undocumented and you will be caught up as well. So the best thing to do, remain silent. And don't open the door. You are safe in your home. You are not required to open your door unless there is a warrant for your arrest. Me encantaría contestar preguntas en español. Si tiene preguntas, estoy viendo todas preguntas en inglés para el momento. Cloud, hi, would love to help. I'm bilingual. Where could I apply? Watch for my next video. I'm going to be giving some more instructions. Again, I was not prepared for the level of response that we got. It's beautiful, though. I really, really was moved with gratitude for the number of people that are willing to step up and support immigrants. And even if it doesn't mean taking a job to support immigrants, there's so many ways that you can support your friends, your family, your neighbors, your loved one, your community, just by being an ally, just by expressing your support, your willingness to do whatever is needed. Can you hear me? It's saying there's no audio. That's weird. I do think I'm having some issues with my internet today. Okay, I'm seeing some hearts. So that must mean people can hear me. Idalia, thank you and have a great day. You too. Hopefully it's not raining cats and dogs like it is here. Ramjir is a U.S. citizen, forgot to disclose child name, prior petition 2015, but I did disclose on the N400. Please respond. Talk with an immigration attorney. It would depend if that's like considered material to whatever it is that however you got your residency. These little things are the things that keep you up at night when you do your own application. Like, is this going to be a problem? Should I have said this? Should I have said that? If you have an immigration attorney, like this is what we do day in, day out. We know what they're looking for. We know what will be a concern, what won't. And so that's the peace of mind that you're getting when you work with a professional. You know, I went to the doctor with my husband yesterday because he's having some issues with his knee. And I was reminded that, like, you know, we'd kind of done some research and, you know, we're smart enough people or whatever, but we're not doctors. So all of the things that we thought he would say, you know, he didn't say. And so I walked away from that experience reminded that, like, the skills that we have, the things that we do day in and day out, those are the things that, for a reason, we're experts in these areas. And so someone who is, you know, just filing an application, they might think, oh, it's just information I'm putting in. You know, what's the big deal? As professionals, we know what the big deal is and the things that can happen. Chulo, your friend's in Venezuela and you applied for the humanitarian parole. What other process can you do for him? Give us a call. We'd be happy to talk with you. 541-653-8899. Someone saying, thank you for hosting this live. You're welcome. I was hosting these lives leading up to the election, kind of to deal with my anxiety pre-election, trying to get people to vote and remember to vote pro-immigrant. And so now post-election, like, because I was honestly, guys, shocked. I was not anticipating that Trump would win again. And so now I'm dealing with my anxiety again post-election by offering information, making sure that people have access to information about what to do next. And as you can see, answering these questions. Is it too late to apply for advanced parole? It usually takes 6 to 9 months to get those approved. But we don't know how quickly things will start changing in the new year. Susie Clark says Governor Whitmer, is that Washington maybe, is not going to fight Trump's policy. Yeah, we'll see really quickly. When the rubber hits the road, when there's no consequences, it's easy to say, I support immigrants. But when, the states start having things restricted or there's consequences, or even like people start getting arrested, like what if they make it illegal to do my job? Like, will I stop, going live on TikTok and Facebook? Will I stop doing my job? Those are questions like that I think are legitimate. I just asked actually a Facebook group, because under the first Trump administration, many of my colleagues were being stopped and interrogated after they left for international travel, coming back. Not a lot, I don't want to say like it was happening a lot, but like enough that it caught my attention. And at that time I didn't have a US passport, so I wasn't traveling. But now that I have one, I'm like, should I maybe, avoid travel for the next 4 years? And so that's, a concern that people have. But like I said, when the rubber hits the road and people start actually having consequences for what they believe and speaking what they believe, like, how will we handle that? What sanctuary means. So sanctuary is kind of this concept where people think they are safe in a certain city or a certain state or area. It does not mean that ICE can't pick them up, because ICE can be anywhere. It's a federal agency. A state can't just say like ICE can't come in this state. That's not the way our government works. But there are areas that say like, we won't turn you over. If a cop pulls over somebody who's undocumented for traffic violation, and they're not going to call ICE to alert them that this person is undocumented, which is actually illegal anyways, but whatever. Susie, your in-laws both have green cards and they're worried, stressed. They are good, correct. Yes, we hope that people with status won't be impacted. But, his promises to deport even immigrants with status is concerning. So even if someone is a permanent resident, and even though that term has the word permanent in it, it is not permanent. It can be taken away. You need to be careful how long you're outside the country. You need to be careful what your contact with law enforcement is. You need to change your address every time you move. Alert immigration about a change of address. So if you're doing those things, you should be okay. I still recommend anyone become a citizen as quickly as they're eligible. If they got their residency through you, Susie, they need to wait 5 years. They can apply 90 days before the 5-year anniversary. Jesse, your son's a U.S. citizen, 22 years old. Your sister petitioned for you in 2004. You have DACA. Anything you can do? Hopefully you've traveled on advanced parole with your DACA. And then it'll be easier for your child to apply for you. Your deportation order was terminated. I have an approved I-130 and a 601A pending. Should you worry? Not sure how they terminate. Do you mean like they dismissed your case from court? Anyone who has a case currently open, I definitely recommend you try to figure out if you can get it closed. I anticipate they'll probably want to move those cases through the court system faster. So if it's closed, you'll be safer. If your green card's renewing in more than 6 months, I recommend that you apply for citizenship instead of renewing your green card. You're going to pay about the same, either one. And so you might as well just do your citizenship and never have to renew your green card again. También hablo español. Estamos hablando de contestando preguntas, pero también hablando de cómo hacer un plan y qué hacer con la ansiedad que se siente, con el miedo que se siente ahorita, qué se puede hacer para estar preparados, qué estrategias se puede buscar. Y esto va a ser individual, cada familia tiene sus propias metas, sus propios pues metas, las cosas que le importan más a esta familia. Y puede ser que la mejor decisión sería quedarse y arreglar, tal vez sería esconderse, tal vez sería escapar ya y esperar que se mejore en el futuro. Pero esto va a ser decisiones que necesita ser informadas con el pro y el con, los beneficios, lo negativo de cualquier opción y cualquier decisión, para pensarlo con anticipación y no tener que hacer una decisión en el momento. Mickey, you're going through a divorce, you have a fiance. What can you do to protect yourself until the divorce is finalized? So I'm going to assume you're an immigrant and maybe you didn't get status through your spouse. You're going to want to talk to an immigration attorney. Feel free to give us a call, 541-653-8899. I-130s are taking about a year or more, depending on if you're a U.S. citizen or permanent resident and who you're applying for. Sanctuary City too. Also, I did hear Trump saying like there are no longer going to be safe places like churches, schools, that all of those will be open options for ICE to go in and grab people. Lil Renee, you want a job with us? Check my next video. I'm going to be posting this afternoon. You're bilingual. Awesome. Love it. Okay, I'm going to have to start wrapping up, you guys. I apologize. I was only able to be on here for less than an hour today. Puede tener una deportación. Cindy, yeah, so parole in place family unity was canceled by a federal court last week. Somebody was on here saying something about next Tuesday with Biden. I haven't heard anything about an appeal or another effort to restart a program, but we will be listening and we'll give information as soon as we hear it, as long as it's reputable information. Sigma, you sound like my daughter. All right, guys, I have a special guest. I haven't asked him yet, actually, but I'm going to be out of town tomorrow with my husband, and so I'm going to ask him to come on my live. He has some cool things to say, some great information, insights, and so you'll get a 2-for-1 tomorrow. Join us then. Thanks for joining us today. Please like and share. And if you're one of the thousands who liked my video this week about looking that we're sending out a back call for help bilingual people who want to work with the immigrants, thank you. Thank you for your support, and be watching for my next video with instructions about how to apply. Thank you so much. Appreciate your guys' support, and have a great afternoon.